Black History Month celebration. Let's give a round of applause. Students, I'm going to talk for about 2 minutes, and then I'm going to turn it over to our AAA members who have organized this entire program today. Students, just real quick, I want you to think, and I talked about this morning on the announcements, how fortunate we are to go to a school as diverse as we are, where we can all celebrate each other's ancestors, the history of our lives and the history of our families, and not only celebrate it, but also respect each other. You know, we had a big Chin Festival the other night for our students from Burma. We have a huge celebration set up for Cinco de Mayo that Cisa Pueda is going to be putting on, and we have this celebration today for Black History Month. So just kind of keep that in perspective about how fortunate we are that we get to celebrate all these things. Because when I was in school, the teachers were in school, there were a lot of things that we did not celebrate that we should have been celebrating. So think about that. Think how fortunate we all are to live in a country and a school district where we can celebrate things like this today. Just a couple quick announcements. Students who have third period at Maine, if the program is still going on as far as the musical portion, we're going to dismiss you quietly at the end to get your lunches and go to the buses. Everybody else will sit tight. Those of you who have A lunch at the end will go to A lunch. You'll stay here for A lunch. Those of you who normally have B lunch will go to your third period class at that time. Okay? We have several guests here, parents here. We want to welcome them. And I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Jameer Carr, our student body president, to introduce our guest. Jameer.
Good morning, Farmers. How you guys doing today? Oh, y'all be better than that. Consider we out of class, and I'm asking again. How are we doing today? All right. So my name is Jameer Carr. I'm a friend and former president of Harmon. So we have a guest here today, and her name is Henry Baji. Excuse me. And she'll be speaking with us towards the end of the program. But first, to get everything started, we have Vanessa Tippins, giving us a warm welcome. Vanessa.
Good morning, LHS Harmon and guests. Welcome to our program. We hope you enjoy the music, the speeches, and the atmosphere of the celebration as we reflect on Black history, past, present, and future. Thank you for coming and enjoy the program.
Next, we have Dominic Richard giving us the occasion.
So you're probably wondering, why am I here? Why is this important? How does this affect me? Well, to answer that question, this is not just Black history, but this is our history, America's history. Through the years, African Americans have greatly contributed to this country. For example, the ice cream scoop was invented by Alfred L. Crow in 1897. The fold chair was invented by Nathaniel Alexander. The golf tee, the ironing board, the clothes dryer, the elevator, and the air conditioner, just to name a few, were all invented by African Americans. African Americans have also greatly impacted the music world. During the 1920s, Louis Armstrong paved the way for African Americans in the hit genre jazz. The amazing sound, which had its roots in the African tribal drums, mixed the sound of European brass instruments, spawned many of the popular genres we know today. They gave us the musical icons such as Michael Jackson, James Brown, and B.B. King, which would eventually lead to the great artists we know today. Beyonce, Jay-Z, Kanye West, and B.A. So while you think about these things and how they have greatly impacted your life, please join me in celebrating the outstanding contributions that African Americans have made to society.
have earned special recognition. At this time, we would like to recognize our AAA 2008-2009 President, Hattie Baji. Hattie, will you please stand and remain standing? Hattie is a senior at LHSH High School, as well as school clubs and community events. Our next honoree is Brittany Marshall. Brittany, please come forward. Brittany serves as the Secretary of AAA. Brittany's signature smile is contagious. She is always cheerful and works hard to accomplish her goals. Brittany recently won regional in district wrestling. She is a true champion. Congratulations, Brittany. This year, our campus won first, second, and third place, 9th grade division in the MLK Writing Exam. Will you please come forward when your name is called? Jessica Youngs. Michelle Reyes. And Alex Villegas. Jessica won first place, Michelle Reyes won second place, and Alex Villegas won third place. Congratulations to each of you. Thank you, Diana. And last but not least, we'd like to recognize all AAA officers and all AAA members. Will you please stand?
Congratulations, Hattie and Jessica. So, furthermore, we'll have Jessica Young, winner of the Martin Luther King Jr. Essay Contest, give us an inspirational speech. Jessica?
One world living the dream. Our world has been divided into continents, countries, states, cities, north sides, south sides, east sides, and west sides. And this division has led to bloodshed because of the differences. Nearly half a century ago, Martin Luther King Jr. expressed his beliefs on using nonviolent resistance, and yet here we stand as a violent world. It's time for us to become one world, but to do so we will have to look back on his philosophies. The power of love, willingness to suffer, and the focus on society's evils and not the individuals is what it will take for our world to live the dream. Martin Luther King Jr. didn't always believe in the power of love. He thought it was useful for individual situations, but not for society, until he was inspired by Mahatma Gandhi. He did believe in using blood for his cause. When an opponent was persuaded by the nonviolent resistance of someone and was ashamed of their former beliefs, they were shown love and were forgiven. There was no hatred dished out from Martin Luther King Jr.'s cause. If this philosophy was implicated in today's world, we would have a much closer bond between our nations. Love to our battered world is like duct tape to an old toy truck. The willingness to suffer for a cause was another major branch of the nonviolent philosophy of Dr. King. If you were to be attacked, Dr. King did not want you to retaliate violently because it would damage his cause. To retrieve what you desire, you must suffer. And when you suffer, what you desire becomes more evident to your opponent. Willingness to suffer isn't some little trick that's easy to master, but once employed, the results are phenomenal. Martin Luther King Jr. believed that we should focus on society's evils and not the individuals who represent those evils. Once an injustice has been corrected in our world, those who previously followed that belief are coerced to believe the opposite. It's never one person that changes the world. It's always a group of people that has to get together to start a revolution. We don't need violence to create harmony. Nonviolent resistance is the key to tranquility. Using Dr. King's philosophies and ideals, we can finally become what Dr. King fought for. We can become one world, living the dream.
Now, last but least, we have Hattie Baji. Excuse me. We have Hattie Veggie. I'm sorry, excuse me, I'm sorry. She's a senior class president of AAA, and she's just been accepted in Western Kentucky University. Hattie.
Good evening, Harmon. Hello. Okay, my name is Harmon. September 15th, 1993. I was born in Gambia, West Africa. Does anybody know where Africa is? Yeah, all right. And is Africa a continent or a country? All right, there we go. So I moved here a couple of years ago to America, and I came to Lewisville High School North, which absolutely wonderful experience. When I moved over to Maine, I joined the speech and debate program there. And I started off as a debater, Lincoln Douglas debate. I competed in different events, but eventually over a period of time, I realized that my heart wasn't into it, you know? Because I missed home, I love the traditions and the cultures that we have in Africa. And being that Black History Month we are celebrating, we cannot celebrate it without remembering where it started. And it all started in the motherland, in Africa. And so that's what I was missing. It was an empty void that I had. So my sophomore year, I decided to write a speech. And I didn't know what my topic was going to be about. But you know what? I said I'm going to do something that's really close to me. Africa. And not only Africa, but the stereotypes of Africa. I came to America, and I tell you, it was one of the craziest experiences when I first came. Questions like, so, did you live in a house or a hut? Or, you know, did I walk around naked? Or did I have food, you know? So, I decided to make a speech about that, and I ended up doing really good with it. Went to nationals for different tournaments. I placed semis or I placed first place, depending on the tournament that it was. So, this speech is very close to me, and I thought I would share it with you all today so that we can truly celebrate Black History Month and learn about where it all started. Okay? You all have won a free prize. That's right. Your attendance at this very Black History Month program qualifies one of you to receive today's World of Knowledge Grand Prize. A check for $10,000 and an iPhone 4G are yours. All you have to do is raise your hand when you recognize which part of the earth I am describing. Ready? The people all have dark brown skin, flat noses, big lips, and woolly hair. They love to play the drums and dance, and they eat monkeys. Many of them put bones to their noses, and they used to cook people in big pots. Rape and murder are out of control. War is fought by heartless 12-year-old boys with machine guns. Wild animals are the only noble and truly interesting thing in... That's right, Africa! Oh, goody, goody. Yes, yes, my brothers. You have all won part of the prize. But you see here, what's sad about winning the prize is that you win because you recognize those stereotypes about my Africa that I get from living in America. This morning, I want to assure you all that winning the prize is no gift when bogus stereotyping creates the pitch. Today, we must unwrap the paper, open up the box, and put away the ugly ribbons. If only you all could leave this room here today having heard the truth about my Africa and be able to distinguish between fact and fiction of the dark continent. And the next time you hear Africa, you will have won the bona fide prize. So, how do we unwrap the paper? We are oftentimes attracted to the wrapping paper effect of stereotypes. Embossed little trees and polka dots can hide what's in the box. The same way stereotypes conceal the truth. In 1922, journalist, media critic, and American philosopher Walter Lippmann described these stereotypes as the fortress of our tradition, a way to hide behind the defenses so we can continue to feel ourselves safe in the position we occupy. Much like the opaque nature of gift wrap, stereotypes are packaged to confuse us. The position behind all these considerations are not that the stereotypes are wrong, but who controls and defines them and what interests they serve. Now we oohed and ahhed long enough about the gift wrap. Let's rip it off and discard those layers of decoration. Let's open up the box of reality. Sadly, what is called a single story can hide the reality of Africa and the authenticity of long-held beliefs. The single story method of communication encourages and allows the same story to be told over and over and over and over again about a people or a place we do not know firsthand. See, the danger of this technique is that it leads to stereotypes, to half-truths, not the full truth. So many Americans think of Africa as being full of hungry, unwashed children, not a place where there are libraries, bus drivers, or even true love. Now, the single-story method of communication is the opposite of what Nigerian author Chimamanda Adichie believes is the power of stories, where all people get to tell their own stories in their own words. Nigerian author Chimamanda Adichie believes in the power of stories, and she warns that only hearing one story or one report about a people or a place can lead to ignorance. Ms. Adichie grew up in middle-class Nigeria, the daughter of a professor. It was not that the American press had lied to her with a single-story fallacy. Instead, it was the power of the single story to paint a false picture of the world. She says the truth is revealed by many tales. Adichie illustrates this juxtaposition with a story about coming to the United States and meeting her college roommate. Adichie says her roommate's default position toward her as an African was a kind of patronizing, well-meaning pity. Her roommate had one single story of Africa, a single story of catastrophe. Adichie's roommate was also shocked to learn that her English was so good and that her favorite tape of tribal music was in fact R&B artist Mariah Carey. Imagine if everything we knew about America or white people came from the films of Spike Lee or James Cameron. There is no way that any single story, any author or film director can present the human fullness of his own people, in his own time and in his own place. It would necessarily be limited, making his own people seem limited, strange and exotic to those who know nothing else about them. Now the flimsy paper of the single story is gone. The box of reality is open. The distractions fueled by half-truths and generalizations need to stop. Let us discover the real treasure, which is the continent of Africa. It is time for the 53 nations to celebrate. Sadly, you will not see pictures of me with lip plates and huge oversized gauges in that National Geographic coffee table book your parents may have at home. It's sad that the media talks as if Africa were the four horsemen of the apocalypse: war, famine, plague, and death. I read a piece in The Guardian recently by a woman who said that she would not go to South Africa for the World Cup because she would probably get raped. It's sad to believe that same absurdity still exists. You shake your head at the boy who sat right behind me in my world history class when he said, "Dude, I want to go to Africa so I can speak cluck, cluck, cluck with my tribe and watch babes run around naked." What we must do is look for the gold in Africa and use education as our shovel. Technologically and culturally, the future of Africa is absolutely refreshing. Did you know that last year, Angola had the highest growth rate due to its oil sector? Or that Nigeria, known as Nollywood, has just passed India, Bollywood, as the second largest exporter of movies in the world, behind the United States. 80 years ago, the poorest, most violent place in the world was China, and the people in the West talked about it like they do Africa today. While China challenges the United States for world leadership, we must stop clinging to a view of Africa's stagnation. Technologically and culturally, the future is refreshing. Let us stop allowing the media to give us limited information about Africa and give us time to educate ourselves about it. Instead of falling asleep in world history class or world geography, how about we listen to our teachers? Listen to what they're telling us, because the greatest gift of all is knowledge. And if we reach out and take it, we can win the prize. Black History Month would not be the way it is today if it wasn't for African heritage. And if we do not know about African heritage, how will we truly be understanding of where we came from, where our history came from? It is the most important thing we will know. And once we reach under the stereotypes, once we reach under all the things the media tells us, we are better able to win the prize.
Next, for our special presentation, we have the Bandan Koro drums playing. Enjoy it, because I will dance a little bit, so you have to help me back a little bit. So.
Well, good morning, everyone.
1, 2. Oh, here we go. We got some sound.
It is my pleasure to be here with you this morning. This is a wonderful campus. I thought this was a college campus. I was passing by. I said, wait a minute, I think this is the school right here, so I can make a U-turn. Let me first introduce myself. My name is Mr. Leo Hassan, but all of the young people and the older folks too. Everybody calls me Baba Leo. So let me say, Baba Leo! Baba Leo! Oh, it sounds like a little louder. Baba Leo! Baba Leo! Good. And this is my good friend, let me hear you say, Iya Shana. Iya Shana. Now, in our African tradition, Baba means teacher, but could also mean father, uncle, grandpa. Any older male in the African village has the title of Baba, which means he has the responsibility of sharing the history, the language, the legacy, the laws, the rules, everything that a young person needs to know in order to be wise and strong, and as they get older, they can in turn pass on everything that they learn to the next generation. Iya is the female designation for the elder of the family. So that's female teacher or mother or auntie or grandma. So let me hear you say, Iya Shana. Iya Shana. Baba Leo. Baba Leo. Very good. Now we oftentimes work with an ensemble called Bandan Koro, but we are here at Harmon to represent us, to represent ourselves. And what I'm going to do in the few minutes that we have, I'm going to share with you some history, some legacy of the African and African American experience in, I say, a quick one-on-one course. And my very first musical instrument in the whole world, this is my best friend, it's called the djembe. Let me say djembe! Djembe! This is my djembe drum. The djembe drum comes from a tree. This African drum came long before the violin, the saxophone, the guitar, the tuba, the flute, any musical instrument that you could think of. The drum from Africa came first. Now, the drums that are in front of Iya Shana, these are called the Dundumba family. Now, the Dundumba family consists of the great big drum called the Dundumba. The next drum next to that is called a Somba. And then the little one is called a Kinkani. Very good. Now, as we just heard, which you already knew, Africa is not a city, it's not a state, it's not a country. It is a continent. It is the second largest continent in the whole world. What is the largest continent? Asia. Say again? Asia. Everybody knew that, right? Of course you did. But Africa has actually 53 countries. We, of course, live on a continent, the North American continent, which is very small compared to the other larger continents. But in West Africa, that's where our drums are from. West Africa has countries like, let me hear you say, Nigeria? Nigeria. A little earlier, I think I heard Sudan, but Sudan is actually close to the center of Africa. But we also have Ghana, say Ghana. Ghana. Gambia. Gambia. Guinea. Guinea. Mali. Mali. Togo. Togo. Cote d'Ivoire. I'm testing your French there. Cote d'Ivoire. Sierra Leone. Liberia. These are the countries that are in the western segment of the African continent. I'm going to give you a little demonstration of my djembe, and then we're going to move on to a very quick African American history. Ready? Let me hear you say Ashe. Ashe. When the drummer, who looks off in the distance, and he sees that there are some friendly people coming to his village, and he can tell that they're friendly because they're not carrying any weapons. They may have some older people with them, or maybe some little children. They may be neighbors, they may be other family members from a distant village. Whenever he sees that they're coming in peace, he's going to play a very special rhythm. And this rhythm is called a fanga rhythm, which means welcome, okay? Tone, tone, slap, tone, tone, bass. Everybody knows the message of the djembe. So whenever the drummer is playing, everybody knows what the message is. We have visitors coming. So now, Shana is going to play the rhythm on the dundumba, and I'm going to play the rhythm on my djembe. The beginning sounds like this.
I've never met any of you before. I'm looking at this guy right here. This guy looks like he got rhythm. I've adopted him in our African rhythm family. What's your name? Aaron. Okay, stay right here. Now, hold it. Now, you go. Shoot, 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 shoot.
rhythm may be good and on time, you just can't. When you play Shake Away, you gotta give me a... But they really came into prominence in the Caribbean. In the Caribbean, of course, we have Jamaica, we have Trinidad, we have Haiti, we have Cuba, we have the Dominican Republic. Where my family is from, have anyone ever heard of Antigua? Antigua, St. Thomas, St. Kitts, St. Croix. These are all islands in the Caribbean. Some of them, there are over 50. I just named a few. When you play the bongos, this is the papa, this is the mama. The papa and the mama are always talking to one another. They have to determine what they're going to have for supper, how to raise the children. So the papa, mama, you can do this. Now, you freestyle. You can play how you want. You can mix it up. You can give me 4 over here and over here. It's 4/4 timing, so it has to be in 4s. 4, 8, 16, he's just saying that. I already know. Now, we're not playing. We're here. You can do this. Ready? Remember the song, right? 1, 2, 3, and... Moving along, in West Africa, where a lot of the Black Americans in this country and in the Caribbean actually came from, we have a tradition which has passed all the way from what we call the motherland to here. Now, a gentleman, a scholar, many years ago, decided that he wanted to recognize continuously the contributions and achievements of Africans and African Americans. And he decided that he wanted to make it his personal mission to have a Negro History Week. And this man, his name was Mr. Woodson, Dr. Woodson. And Dr. Woodson in 1924, he proposed Negro History Week. And we had Negro History Week up until I was in school. But then in, I believe it was 1976, Negro History Week became African American History Month, or Black History Month. But you have to be careful about that term, African American, because when we speak about African American History Month, we're only talking about the experiences of African Americans here in this country. When we talk about Black History Month, we have to take it all the way back to the early days of Africa into today. Matter of fact, I have, this is called my kufi, and this is my dashiki, but a lot of times I wear my b-boy hat because I am a product of Africa and America, the hood, you know what I mean? so I'll mix it up. So here's like this. But here's what we're gonna do in a few minutes that we have left. Shauna says she would like to share some African dance moves with some of the students here at Harmon. So now, I want you, now hold on. You have to be a dancer in order to represent, and you have to have rhythm, and you have to have a nice little flow, okay?